Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Tiffany Taylor, and I have the pleasure of serving as a partner and co-president here at GSV. And I am so honored to be here with Chancellor John King. Thanks so much for being here.
Excited to talk with you.
Yes. So from leading national civil rights work at the Education Trust to serving as the United States Secretary of Education under President Obama to now guiding the largest comprehensive public education system in the country, you have been spending your career expanding opportunity and expanding access. When you think about your work at SUNY and you think about the bold vision that you're taking just to across the country and quite literally setting a model for across the globe, what innovative strategies are you most excited about right now, especially when it comes to increasing access in today's rapidly evolving landscape?
Yeah, so two things I would share. One is we have an initiative called ASAP and ACE, which is a replication of a program that actually began at the City University of New York. It's a wraparound supports program that has shown a doubling of college completion rates in randomized controlled trials in multiple states. And so when I came in as chancellor in January of 23, one of my goals was to replicate that program. And I was able to persuade the governor and legislature to give us the resources to do that. And we're now scaling that program on 25 of our campuses. So the ASAP is the community college version and ACE is the four-year college version. So we're very excited about that work. We also have an initiative system-wide to make sure that every undergraduate has a internship experience, which we think is really important to helping students realize the full value proposition of higher education. And so we're working hard to invest state resources in providing paid internships, because often for low-income students, internships that are unpaid are inaccessible. Also providing some support around things like transportation, to address some of the obstacles that get in the way for students.
And so when you think about the obstacles, you're thinking about the obstacles that are getting in the way for students. When you think about some of the challenges that you and your team are navigating, what's the biggest challenge that you're like, Tiffany, we are like laser focused on clearing the way on this particular challenge?
You know, the biggest challenge at the moment is the uncertainty at the federal level and the disruption to the U.S. Education Department with the huge layoffs there, which we think are going to make it much harder for the department to do its job. Concerns about the federal budget picture and what that could mean for federal investments in research, in financial aid. So that's the biggest kind of external challenge. You know, I would say internally, it's really the culture shift towards return on investment way of looking at higher education. Of course, we're deeply committed to providing students with a well-rounded education. We have a very ambitious agenda around civics and service. All of that is core to what higher education is meant to do. But if you survey parents, students, and you say, what is the most important thing you want out of the college experience? The answer always is a good job after graduation. And so really shifting our culture to say, we've got to be helping our students think about how does my learning connect with what I might do after college? That exposure to the world of work is just crucial to helping our students succeed.
I appreciate that. And I share with you, I started my career as a sixth grade special education teacher. And so when I think about one of the missed opportunities that I wish we could disrupt a bit for future educators is the partnership that exists between K-12 educators and higher education leaders. Are you leading any initiatives or opportunities for us to bridge the gap a bit in that regard?
That's very important. You know, for us at SUNY, we're the largest preparer of teachers in New York State. So we think a lot about how to make sure that we have the pipeline of teachers that we need and that folks are getting the right preparation. But we have an initiative focused on the science of reading, for example, which is an area where, you know, research tells us what practices will help students succeed as readers. But unfortunately, we have not always done a good job of making sure teachers understand that research and have the skills. So we have a micro-credential program that we launched at SUNY New Paltz. There's an online program that we've made available to current teachers because we can change our programs to prepare new teachers, but there are a lot of teachers in the classroom today who didn't have that training. And so that micro-credential has now been taken by thousands of teachers across New York State. And actually a foundation just launched a project in the state of Maryland where the micro-credential is free for Maryland teachers who want to take this coursework around the science of reading.
I love it. I love it. So I want to shift just a little bit since we are at the ASU+GSV Summit to just talk a little bit about technology. And so I know, especially as it relates to AI and ed tech, we're seeing a lot of promise, right? But we're seeing a lot of things that should require us to pause. When you think about the work that you're leading, not just the initiatives, but your responsibility to ready, right, the next generation of leaders for the future workforce, but quite honestly, for the workforce that exists today, how are you making sense of how to sit at that intersection of emerging technologies and truly scaling impact and learning in meaningful ways?
Yeah, it's a great question. Look, I think if you look back over the last 20, 30 years, the technology tools to affect instruction have not been as impactful as we would have hoped. The technology tools to help with administrative tasks, very helpful. Technology tools to help with tracking student progress, tracking when students are struggling, making sure that information gets to advisors and faculty members and there's the right intervention. Some really good work has happened there. But in terms of changing the actual learning experience, many fewer examples. Now, there are some great ones, flight simulators, amazing. We have programs where students are using technology to kind of look inside of a surgery that's taking place, right? Those kinds of things, very impressive uses of technology. But on the whole, we've sold a lot more products into K-12 and higher ed than have actually made a difference for teaching and learning. So we've got a faculty work group looking at AI and, what are strategies that might make AI impactful in the classroom? I've seen a few examples that are very promising. I was in a classroom. I was talking with a faculty member at Harvard who teaches French and has used AI to create essentially a simulated character that speaks French with the student and adjust their level of vocabulary and grammar to the student's level of vocabulary and grammar as the conversation continues. That's really impressive and struck me immediately as a very smart use of the technology. I can't say I've seen 100 things like that where I say, oh yeah, this is going to make a difference for teaching and learning.
So, with so many powerful ideas that are being not just shared in the summit here, but, you are in several conversations, you are leading panels, you are really in rooms where decisions are being made, but ideas are also brought forward. When you think about scalable solutions, when you think about the role of policymakers, entrepreneurs, investors, educators coming together, talk to us a little bit about your greatest hope around what these folks coming together could actually accomplish.
Look, I think the United States has always led on innovation. Whether you're talking about technology or the health sciences or renewable energy, the United States has a leadership position because we're willing to invest in research. We're willing to make big bets. The one thing I think we sometimes are lacking is strong feedback loops. And so if I had a hope for the innovation sector that's represented in ASU+GSV, it's that we get a lot better at measuring impact. Not how many of the thing that we sell, which I understand is important.
Understood.
What's the impact on student retention, persistence, completion, earnings, short and long term? And if we can show that innovations are actually driving improved outcomes in ways that are equitable, that address the gaps for low-income students, students of color, students with disabilities, veterans. If we can show that demonstrable impact, I have a lot of hope that we can keep innovating towards a brighter future.
I love it. So last question, and I want to ask you to stay on this point about hope. What's your greatest hope for the future of higher education? When you think about the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, your greatest hope?
There are a lot of threats to our democracy right now. And I think one of the best hopes for our democracy is our higher ed institutions. Students who are learning together, working together with students who have different backgrounds, different experiences. That is maybe our best place to prepare young people to lead a healthy, functional,
Yes.
multiracial
Yes.
democracy.
Yes.
And so we're really doubling down on that. We just adopted a general education requirement for all undergraduates, focused on civic discourse.
Yes.
We've launched an Empire State Service Corps where 500 of our SUNY students are doing 300 hours a year of paid public service work,
Wow.
tutoring, environmental work, addressing housing and food insecurity, serving as peer mental health counselors, because we think civics and service is a part of how we prepare the next generation of leaders.
Love it. I love it. As an AmeriCorps alum, I love that you are doing that.
Awesome.
But thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for all that
you.
you have done, that you are doing, and will continue to do for learners around the country. Thanks, Chancellor.
Thanks so much.